This episode had some really fantastic visuals. It just looked fantastic throughout. This episode clearly had a much higher budget than the rest of the series did. But this episode was exciting. I found it well paced. I thought it had a great sense of danger. I think that Tim Shaw's return wasn't exactly what I was hoping for, but being realistic, it wasn't a massive shock, and I think he was menacing and intimidating. I think that Graham as a character was very well written in this particular episode. He's been well written throughout, but I think in this episode he really came into his own. He had a great arc of sorts, really. It came full circle here, because obviously this episode relates heavily to episode 1. The guest cast are very good. They don't really get much to do. There are a few characters that just kind of blow into the background after a while, but they're all well cast. The Ucks, they have cool powers, but that's it. I found them to be a bit boring and a bit generic. Ultimately, this episode was reasonably entertaining, but I think it wasn't necessarily it wasn't really the series finale I would have hoped for. It didn't feel like a series finale. It did wrap up loose ends, of course, so in that sense it felt like a series finale, but in many other ways it felt like another episode of Doctor Who. Maybe this is down to the standalone nature of this series, but I don't know, it just felt a bit off to me. I also think that the threat wasn't fully established. We get a good sense of it, and it's present for a long time, but because Tim Shaw's defeated in the end, we never really get to see the ramifications of his plan. And Tim Shaw obviously wasn't killed, so I have the deepest suspicions that he's going to return at some point in Series 12, or possibly beyond that. But I think he is going to return, because they've kept him alive. I think this episode has almost a sort of steampunk, gothic aesthetic about the whole thing. It was very well shot, very well lit. That's kind of the standard for this series. Unfortunately, where this series has been substantially lacking is with the storytelling or with the writing. This episode is definitely one of the better examples of Series 11, if you will, but it's still kind of generic. It's not really that interesting. If it has anything interesting, they don't go into enough details on it, and it feels a bit, rushed and a bit, sloppy in some areas. I think the teaser for the New Year's Day special implied an appearance of the Daleks. We don't know yet. I'm kind of interested to see what happens there. But this episode was kind of alright. I think if you were to pick an episode that was a typical Series 11 episode, this probably would be it. It's alright. It's got some good things. There's nothing in it that's bad, but it's just so in the middle, like Series 11 as the whole for me. There's no, reason why this finale won't be forgotten in a week's time. This episode is entertaining, but I think as soon as I finish this reaction video, I'm going to forget about it. I'm just going to, I'll think back to Series 11, I'll think, oh yeah, the finale, what was that like? And I'll have to probably rewatch it to remember what actually happened. So that's the end of Series 11. Of course, Series 12 won't be airing until 2020, a delay that doesn't really bother me, mainly because I have felt so unenthusiastic about this series that it doesn't make any difference, really. So there we are. So in conclusion, this episode was very well shot, decently written, but ultimately failed to pack any kind of a substantial punch. Although, unlike a lot of episodes this series, it wasn't too exposition heavy, and the pacing was pretty good. So it was alright. Probably if I had to score it, I would give something like 6 out of 10, or maybe even a 7 at a push. I think it was decently written, but again, I won't be talking about it. I won't really think about it beyond a few weeks from now. If you liked this video and you are interested in what else I do, why not check out my other videos that I've made so far? And if you're really interested, why not click subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a video.